Birth alerts in Canada, child welfare issue or continuation of the Millennium Scoop. Birth alert refers to a practice in which healthcare professionals may flag the parents of newborn babies for investigation by social services. This can result in the removal of a baby before the mother has even been discharged from hospital. This practice has been the subject of scrutiny across Canada, as Indigenous advocacy groups have accused it of unfairly targeting Indigenous mothers and contributing to the overrepresentation of Indigenous children in provincial care. As of September 2019, British Columbia has formally committed to ending the practice, and it is under review in Manitoba. But what more can be done to prevent the unnecessary separation of families? How can race-based discrimination in the healthcare system be addressed? This table shows the percentages of Aboriginal children compared to non-Aboriginal children in foster care across Canada. The data was collected during a 2011 household survey and updated after the 2016 census. It shows a consistent overrepresentation of Aboriginal children in foster care across the country, but the numbers are particularly staggering in the Western provinces and territories. The province of British Columbia has moved to end the controversial practice of birth alerts as of September 2019. However, Children and Family Development Minister Katrine Conroy has not offered a plan to return babies already in care back to their families. In the photo, we see baby H, an unidentified infant from Kamloops, BC, who was seized from her mother less than 90 minutes after being delivered via C-section. Prominent Mi'kmaq attorney Pam Palmater has referred to birth alerts as a form of race-based genocide, echoing the sentiments of many Indigenous rights advocates across the country. Cora Morgan, a family advocate with the Manitoba Assembly of Chiefs, testified against the use of birth alerts at the Inquiry for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. I think it's really critical for us to be able to have that voice recognized, that there is a direct link between the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and the child welfare system, she is quoted as saying for CBC October 2018. Indigenous rights advocates view the use of birth alerts as a continuation of the 60s scoop, in that it provides authorities with new methods to remove newborn babies indiscriminately and ultimately hurts Indigenous families more frequently than it serves to protect children. The legacy of trauma resulting from the separation of families is well documented, and this supposedly unbiased alert system facilitates the continuation of Canada's colonial legacy by disproportionately targeting Indigenous children for removal. In an article for Maclean's magazine, Kyle Edwards writes of the challenges faced by Canadian lawmakers and the legal system with regards to addressing systemic racism in the child welfare system. Quote, "How do they protect youngsters while ending a practice redolent of the devastating policies that many believe led to the conditions they were born into in the first place?" End quote. The odds are often stacked against Indigenous families fighting to regain custody of a child. With a complex and expensive appeals process, taking on the Ministry of Child and Family Development can be an uphill battle. For most families, the outcome of an appeal hinges on their ability to hire an attorney. With a lower average income than non-Aboriginal Canadians, this expense can be burdensome. This gap in access to information and legal aid serves to illuminate the vast imbalance of power between Indigenous communities and the Canadian legal system. It is a crucial step towards reconciliation for Canadian government at all levels to address the socioeconomic conditions among Aboriginal communities that have led to the overrepresentation of Aboriginal youth in foster care. In order to move forwards, it is essential to address racial bias in the Canadian healthcare system so that Indigenous communities can access the same quality of medical care that other Canadians enjoy. Indigenous women cannot be forced to give birth in secret out of fear that their babies will be removed from them. While British Columbia has put an end to the birth alert system and it is currently under review in Manitoba, this is merely a step towards addressing the systemic racism that has led to the staggering numbers of Aboriginal youth in care.